Under the soft golden light of a late evening, Rin watched Khem from across the crowded room. The air was thick with unsaid emotions, a mix of regret, longing, and something dangerously close to love. The music pulsed like a heartbeat, and every note echoed the rhythm of Rin's own uneven, trembling, afraid. They had been here before, caught in these stolen moments where eyes met longer than they should, where fingers brushed and lingered, and where silence spoke louder than any confession could. Khem, always so composed, always a step away, stood near the window, her gaze distant yet keenly aware. She could feel Rin's eyes tracing her every breath, a silent question hanging between them. The party around them was a blur of noise and color, but for Rin, the only thing in focus was the woman who held her heart captive without ever trying. Each laugh, each flicker of Khem's eyes as she spoke to others, felt like a small, sharp twist in Rin's chest. This dance of denial had gone on for far too long, and Rin's patience was wearing thin. Summoning a courage she didn't know she possessed, Rin began to weave her way through the crowd. Every step toward Khem felt monumental, as if she were crossing a vast, empty chasm that had separated them for an eternity. The closer she got, the more her resolve solidified. Tonight, something had to break. The silence, her heart, the invisible wall between them, she didn't care which, as long as this unbearable tension finally found a release. The world seemed to slow down, the background noise fading into a dull hum. There was only Khem silhouetted against the night sky, waiting. "Why do you keep doing this to me?" Rin's voice finally broke through the noise, low and trembling, as she reached Khem's side. Khem turned, her lips curling into a half-smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. It was a practiced expression, one Rin had seen 100 times, a mask of polite indifference. "Doing what?" Khem asked, her tone deceptively calm. Rin's heart ached at the pretense. "This," Rin said, gesturing vaguely between them. "Acting like you don't feel it too." She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper that was both soft and sharp. "Every time you look at me, it's like you're holding your breath. It's like you're holding something back." For a fleeting moment, Khem's composure wavered. A flicker of raw pain crossed her face before she could hide it. "Because I have to, Rin," she said, her voice strained. "You know what happens if we don't." Her words were a stark reminder of the unspoken rules, the invisible lines they weren't supposed to cross. But Rin was tired of the rules. She was tired of the lines. "I don't care anymore," Rin declared, her voice filled with a desperate finality. She closed the remaining distance between them, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. The room, once so vast and crowded, seemed to shrink until it contained only the two of them. The air crackled with an energy that was both terrifying and exhilarating. Rin reached up, her hand shaking slightly as she brushed her fingers along Khem's jawline. The touch was electric. Khem trembled, a rare, beautiful break in her fortress of calm. In that moment, the world around them blurred into an impressionistic painting of light and shadow. All that existed was the undeniable pull, the magnetic force that had always drawn them together. Leaning in slowly, deliberately, Rin let her lips graze Khem's, a whisper of a kiss that burned hotter than any flame. It was a question, an invitation, a plea. Khem froze, her body rigid, caught in a silent war between surrender and restraint. Her mind screamed no, but her heart whispered yes. Then, for one fleeting, earth-shattering heartbeat, she gave in. Their lips met fully, a kiss that was desperate, tender, and aching all at once. It was a confession of years of stolen glances, a release of pent-up longing, a taste of a future they both craved and feared. It was everything. But just as quickly as it began, it was over. Khem pulled away, a gasp escaping her lips. The cold air rushed into the space between them, feeling harsher than before. "No," she whispered, her voice thick with regret as she took a step back. "We can't." Tears welled in Rin's eyes, the sting of rejection sharper and more painful than she could have ever expected. "But you did," Rin countered, her voice breaking. "You felt it too." Khem couldn't meet her gaze. She turned away, hiding the storm raging behind her eyes, the war between her heart and her obligations. "Loving you is the one thing I was never allowed to do," she confessed, her words a quiet devastation. It wasn't a rejection of Rin, but a surrender to a fate that was not their own to right. Rin took a shaky breath, her hand reaching out again, a desperate, instinctual gesture. But Khem moved further away, retreating into the shadows as if they could protect her from the love she so clearly felt. "Maybe someday," Khem whispered, her voice barely audible, cracking on the final word. "But not now." With that final, heartbreaking promise of a future that might never come, she turned and disappeared into the night, leaving Rin utterly alone in the middle of the crowded room. Rin stood frozen, the ghost of Khem's warmth still lingering on her lips, a beautiful, painful memory that was already slipping away. The music swelled, a cruel symphony that seemed to mock the ache in her chest. As the last note of Khem's name died on her lips, Rin whispered to the empty space where she had stood, "Then I'll wait, even if it means waiting forever." And as she stood there, her heart carried both the profound weight of a love finally acknowledged and the excruciating pain of its denial, the bittersweet proof that sometimes the deepest love stories are the ones that are never allowed to fully bloom.